Hi, this is Pastor Jerry Manick II. So glad you joined us for Soul Success, where we come on every week on Monday at 7:30 a.m. to discuss what it really means to be successful. You know, many of us are grinding, whether we are on our job, whether we're parents, whether we're leading a church or an organization, whether we are an entrepreneur or we're simply just working 9 to 5. But many of us have ambitions that we want to make a difference in the world. We want to leave our mark. We want to leave our legacy, either through our children or ourselves. But then what does success mean if you don't have your soul right? What happens when you achieve objectives and goals and still don't have that fulfillment that you need? What happens then when you feel like you've been successful, but you're not experiencing the things that you thought success would bring? That's why we're here with Soul Success. Because I'm here to tell you the essence of who you are is your soul. Your inner person, who you really are. And I'm so glad that we have a guest today, the Playmakers. These young men are incredible. And when I say young, I'm not talking about their age. I'm talking about their spirit, their enthusiasm, their ambition. Man, they make me young. That's why I call them young, because they make me young. They've given me a second wind in life, because I used to call myself an old man. Now I'm feeling rejuvenated, if you will. And they're here because they are making a difference in the world. I'm going to introduce Mr. Johnson, who's the president of Playmakers. Let him talk about Playmakers, introduce his boys. Mr. Johnson, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man?
I'm
Thank you
good,
for
man.
having us.
Good to see you.
All right, good to say thank you, thank you. My name is Taryn Johnson. I'm president of Playmakers Nashville, here based in Nashville, Tennessee. To my right, I have Swan. To my left, I have Enrique Selman as well. So we are Playmakers Nashville. We are a social service organization that focuses on community service projects while also hosting social events around the local Nashville area as well. We got started about January of 2021. Our main focus was wanting to leave a legacy here in the city of Nashville, kind of building, manifesting things inside of the community that's going to actually help not only people that's in our youth, people that's in need, but then also focus in a little bit more on improving that social balance here in our local areas.
So, I think your average age is 28, 29, 30, 31.
Yeah.
So, Riga, tell me about success. What does success mean to you, bro?
For me, success means being able to wake up and do what it is that gives you purpose, that gives you drive, and you know that what you're doing is something that you kind of always wanted to do. For me, that's what success is. Success is manifesting things that you thought that you where you wanted to be, and waking up and seeing that these things that you dreamt about or thought about, they're here now. You're doing them, and then just having the knowing that whatever you're doing it with integrity. That to me is success.
Swan, what about you?
Man, I think for me, it's pretty simple. Having more free time. Being able to do whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you want to do, and having time. Something working for somebody else, for most of us, doesn't allow.
Oftentimes, when I've achieved goals and objectives, um, I thought it would give me something. Uh, I really, women, money, cars, a place to live,
Yeah.
clothes, traveling. And oftentimes I had to ask myself, do I feel good about me? And whether I'm driving a hoopty or a Benz,
Yeah.
how do I feel about me? Johnson, talk about that. I mean, when you talk about success, how do you incorporate about when you're by yourself,
Yeah.
how you feel about yourself?
Yeah, and I think it's really important. I mean, as you take a look at, most men, we're very competitive.
Yeah.
The finer things in life is what we strive for. And, when you talk about, coming up and, graduating from college and having a lot of pressure on your shoulder, maybe filling big shoes if you've had a very successful dad or uncles or grandparents in that nature. One of the things that, I've kind of prided myself on is kind of being a resourceful asset. Not only just amongst my peers, but then also with, people within the community. So it's very, very important, kind of touching back on your point, you can have all the things in the world, but if you're not internally satisfied with yourself, you'll find yourself into a state to where you're like, wow, like I'm on the top of the mountain, but I'm by myself, I'm lonely. I have
Right.
nobody to share it with.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
How do you feel, bro?
I mean, I feel like you really still at the end of the day, you do have to have happy with yourself. That's why I said integrity is important, because you can have all the great things and successes as you perceive them in the world, but if you are not right with yourself within, I mean, it's not going to matter. You're gonna go home. You're gonna have that emptiness. You know, you can, drink all the finer drinks, eat all the finest food, go to all these places. Because at the end of the day, those are just things. So, like you said, when you're by yourself and it's just you, who are you? You know, how do you really feel internally about yourself? So, integrity is an important part, I think.
Something what you all have to deal with that I never had to deal with was this onslaught of social media telling you what success is.
Yeah, yeah.
So talk about that. Come on, let's open it up, man.
I every now and again I'll delete social media. I'll deactivate it so I can't look at it, and then I find myself filling that void with something else that either needs to get done or something I just want to go do and kick it or whatever the case is. But I think our generation is so wrapped up in it because everything on there that you're not gonna post an ugly picture unless you're just ugly. Say that, but no one's gonna post a janky video. You're gonna post the finest things that you're doing in life, and it's not realistic. It's not the failure. You don't know how many times I took that picture. You know what I'm saying?
Usually it's somebody's gonna took you about like 50, 60 times.
So we look at it and it's a false illusion of reality. Right. You know? That's my take on it.
Go ahead.
And I mean, you hit it dead on, man. I mean, it's like everything on social media is for fluff, and people need to kind of understand that.
Yeah.
like you said, they're not gonna post an ugly picture, not gonna post a failure. Most of the time, most people are not. They're gonna post a success, and if that's all you see, then you look at yourself and you're like, dang, so having it, like, I think because of social media, we have so much of a comparing mindset now in our generation than your generation kind of did, because you can only see most of the time what was around you there. Now you see millions of different examples of, oh, you're at this age, you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to do this, and that's why a lot of times I'll tell like my younger brothers, like look, like you're on the right path, and don't think you have to be somewhere at a certain point because what you see out there in the world. Everybody's journey is their journey, and there's still plenty of time, you know. So just stay on that path, stay on purpose, and do what you know you need to do. And you're going to get there. Not worry and compare yourself so much to everything else, even though it is difficult.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about standards, right?
Yeah.
Social media, especially if you go on Instagram, I mean, they're kind of telling you kind of where the standard is.
Right.
And then you have to then incorporate, well, what do you have for your own self-standards?
Right.
And, you know, because it will tell you that you are supposed to be in Morocco every other weekend, you know, on a private plane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who lives like that? And so if you say your standard of success is measured by what you see on social media, and it also appears like the younger you are, the more you accumulate at the younger age, the more successful you are.
Right.
Which doesn't mean, because you haven't experienced anything. In the wisdom and the journey.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lecture. Y'all talk. Because I was immune to it until recently.
Right.
I didn't have an Instagram account until last year.
And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Right.
Because I think it does more harm than good. Period.
Yeah, it can, because it can really open up a lot of different factors and things. For some people, it gives them a sense of a new identity.
Yeah.
You know, who you and what you were doing 10 years ago, you can reinvent yourself now and then broadcast yourself to the world as like, oh, I'm this, you know, financial guru. I'm this. I'm the top Forex guy that's, you know, out, you know, in the city. But a lot of the things sometimes that you can find just kind of internally with yourself as you're getting on there and you're soaking up a lot of stuff daily. It's just like it can kind of create, and it's okay to admit it, but, you know, kind of taking a look at other braggadocious things or things that, you know, you want to attain, you can kind of find yourself kind of like feeling a little insecure, like, wow, like, you know, I'm not there yet. Like, you know, man, this guy, you know, he has the new Porsche, or, you know, here it is, and I got my little Genesis. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So let me tell you something, man. So it's a confession from years ago. I don't have this insecurity anymore.
Right.
But man, so my dad is about 6'2".
Right.
He's always been real muscular, big dude, and I always wanted to be big, you know, of course. So I would follow all of these workout pages. Right. And I'm seeing these cock diesel, probably juicing, sure, taking something. But I'm looking at these guys, and I'm really still in their workouts, but I'm looking at them, and I'm like, man, I wish I could get that big. I'm in the gym, going harder, you know what I'm saying? But it was an insecurity because I'm comparing myself to something that I see that is not real. It's not reality,
Right.
you know?
So let's talk about that from a perspective of women. Yeah. So if you look at what's posted on social media, how do you all then measure who is a suitable mate and or date? And is that tainted by social media?
Can I hit that again?
Go ahead.
Me personally, I typically don't. Now I'm gonna look.
Yeah.
I'm going to look. Let's get that understood.
Right.
But women that are too revealing on social media, I tend to. I'm not gonna take you very seriously. I mean, in my opinion, I can't take you seriously.
But what about the fact that we said they're not going to post their worst picture?
Right.
So does that influence you all when you are looking to date and looking for suitable mates? What you see not only just on Instagram but just social media?
No.
I mean, in a way, yes. Like you said, I mean, it depends. You know, so I mean, if she's on here and she's showing and revealing a lot of herself all the time on social media,
Right.
I'm not gonna want that to be someone who's going to be my like serious mate that I'm gonna try to be with long term. I mean, be all the real. I mean, if we see something that's attractive, we might speak to this person or try to or whatever.
We
But
don't shoot. That's
we
just
might,
the
but we
nature
not.
of men.
That's
We
the
don't
nature of men.
shoot,
But
yeah.
as far as taking them seriously, if they're gonna be, flaunting their sexuality for everyone else to see on Twitter, then it's like no, But if it's just but if it goes back to you just saying, okay, we know that this person took the best picture, not revealing, but every picture is just amazing. Like, damn, she looks so beautiful. We know this is not real. There's filters, there's all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's gonna gain the attention that they're trying to seek from it or the validation. But then you meet them in person, and of course you understand. You don't take this and be like, this is who they are.
Right.
Because like I said, they took that perfect picture, that perfect angle, that perfect shot 1,000 times so they can get it to post it on Instagram. Absolutely.
Does it make the social media, and I'm not saying that social media is evil or anything like that, because we use social media. We're going to be on social media now.
Right.
Here's my question. Does it then have a major impact on what you think of beauty and what beauty is? Given, okay.
For me, I mean, we all got a type, of course.
Right.
But for me, it doesn't impact what I think beauty is, because we all got a type, But who's ugly to you may be fine to me.
Right.
Right, exactly. And I think that, and you hit a really good point, because I feel like a lot of the times that we talk and just within our brotherhood moments and stuff, and I think men in general, majority of men, we still have that very traditional mindset. Mm-hmm. When it comes from, you see now with, women, ladies getting plastic surgery, things of that nature, and flaunting their bodies and things on social media. From the natural eye, is it attractive? Of course. I mean, those are just things to look at. But, for us, what we're used to it from, women in our family, our mothers, our grandmothers, respectable women, things of that such, to where they didn't have social media. So it took the time, effort, and resources to be able to get connected onto that woman. You actually had to put in the time, get a chance to kind of see where they were in life. And it's just like now, women that we may run across, everybody is easily accessible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that can kind of create some of the things where it's just like, wow, okay, well, you look good, but then she looks good, but then she also looks good too as well. And it just, there's nothing wrong with options in life, things
Right.
are about choices and decisions, but, at the end of the day, it makes it a little tougher with kind of figuring out okay, what woman really stands out amongst others? You all may be both beautiful women, but who has more substance?
Right. Yeah. Let's go to another subject, and that's, I want to talk about generations. So when I was growing up, there was still the opportunity to go to one corporation, work for 30 years, get your gold watch, and retire.
Yep.
And then I didn't have that when I was working. Right. So it was like, wait a minute, those opportunities are not there. It seems to me that you all never saw that.
No.
And it seems that you all, as far as, and I don't want to stereotype, but I rarely hear someone say, people under 30, I want to go work for this company.
Right.
And work 28 years, 30 years, and retire.
Right.
Am I speaking out of tune or out of line? Talk to me about that.
No, you're spot on. Funny story. My dad called about, this is maybe 6-8 months ago. I'm freshly getting off work, and we kind of just doing our daily check-ins. He's like, hey, what you up to? I was like, oh, not much. On my way home, whatever, go for the grocery store. He's like, man, came into work today, and there was a card on my desk and a gift. I was like, oh, okay, well, open it up, let's see what you got. So inside of the card, and from all his people that he works with, happy 32 years, Chris. Wow. And it's just like, wow, like, I mean, I'm 28 years old, so
Yeah.
he's been on the job longer than I've been alive.
Right.
So just the fact that, with just the discipline and the structure and then just the generational difference, you're talking about somebody that came out of college back in 85, 86, I mean, he went straight from college, working that job, had me, and continued to work that job all the way up until now. And it's as his son taking a look at that aspect of it, it's like, wow, like, he took a very sacrificial type stance to make sure for stability, resources, things of that nature. But I think that now, with just kind of the generation that we're in, we look at things a little bit more, there's a lot more resources.
Okay.
I mean, now more than ever, I mean, you got so many different financial things that you can get tapped into, real estate, things of that nature. It's been a little bit more of a heightened towards like, we can kind of figure out like, hey, entrepreneurial is the route to go, but there's so many different facets of things that you can get tied into besides working in a corporation for 32 years.
Do you think that working a job can give you the financial independence that you're looking for? Because looking at you, I think that I'm not working at a corporation that's going to give me 5% raise every year.
And I'm not even gonna beat out inflation doing it that way. So basically, I stay the same place every 5 years. So no, I mean it's not the world's not set up like that anymore. The whole bill of goods of this American dream that was sold to our parents or their parents, that stuff is gone. Like this, work 40 years for a company, go buy you a meager house, stay in there for 30 years, then now that's your nest egg. Like no, it doesn't work like that. Inflation, the way that we print money here in America, all this kind of stuff. If you're gonna save your way to financial freedom, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
And so I could never see myself trying to work at any company for that many years. Period. No. Me doing something in entrepreneurship for so many years where I control my own destiny every day. I eat what I kill. That's my for me. That's the only way. You know what I mean? Because the security of a job, security of okay, every 2 weeks I'm gonna go get this check. I feel like it takes away from your the competitive juices inside you to want more. So when you have to go out every day and start over. For me, that there's nothing better than that, and me transitioning into that phase and understanding that there's other ways to do this instead of what I was told, because I know that's not the way to go.
So I became an entrepreneur not because I wanted to. I became an entrepreneur out of necessity. Here's why. As a black man in Nashville, I didn't see any of these corporations where black men were in the C-suites. I didn't see any black men, executive vice president, except for Citizens Bank, Meharry, Tennessee State, and Fisk.
Wow.
And I didn't have a PhD, so I knew I wasn't going to be president of any educational institution. And I sure didn't see any black people president of, these other organizations, Ingram and all that. And I'm not trying to call out, but I didn't see them. So I had to become an entrepreneur. Even when I had a full-time job, I was still hustling on the side because I knew it couldn't give me the money that I wanted or the independence or the things I wanted to do. I think that oftentimes when we look at what you just said about getting up and going and getting it, there is success actually in the fight. There's success in the grind. There's success. So the success isn't getting to the destination. It's the travel there. Talk about that.
And I think, that's very, very important because like even to, what he was stating, you find yourself in that transition. You learn who you are. You learn who you are, you know what you can bear, things that, okay, hey, if I fail, this is on me. I mean, we've talked a million and one times. She's like, hey, I'm all about legacy. I'm trying to keep this thing going and build this thing to leave for my kids, put them in a better position. And then even on top of that, it's like, hey, if I don't go out here and plan and execute, they don't eat.
Yeah.
And that builds a little bit more of a further drive that's in you towards just like, hey, failure is really not an option, but you're going to go through things, you're going to have different road bumps and go through different trials and tribulations, but, it's really important. And for all of us, yes, have we worked in the corporate sector and we all got our different industries, but even to the entrepreneurship, like we all five of us, the three of us here, but we all kind of practice those things on the side. It's like, hey, sharpen the tool set and go out there and try it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen, okay, it doesn't work, brush yourself off and try something else.
Last question. I've heard you mention legacy. I heard you mention legacy. Has our generation left a legacy by which you all can build upon, or do you feel like you all had to start from scratch, excavate, build, even, and you know what I'm asking? Yeah. Did we do what we were supposed to do to help you all as the next generation go floor 5, 6, 7 as opposed to ground floor building up? Be honest. Start with you. We'll go to you.
Said be honest.
No, and you ain't gonna lie on my show, bro. Come on, man.
Speaking for myself and for my family, yes. But I think as a generation as a whole, no, because I still find myself every so often, every once in a while, running into these conversations of, man, well, if you just stay here 20 years, you get your pension. Like, why are you telling? We're in the age of social media. We have access. Our parents didn't have access to the information that we have. To if you want to start a business, Google will tell you everything about everything. Yeah. YouTube, Yeah. So I'll say that because, and I don't think anything's wrong with that. I just had that convo with my mother. I was telling her like, Mom, we don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
It's kids on YouTube making $1 million that don't even know what money is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Age of social media. So, in my opinion, no. As a whole, no.
Have we, our generation, the generation ahead of us that came before me, did we leave as a legacy an opportunity and pathway, foundation, building block to help you all, or did you all have to start from scratch?
I think for myself, if I use, me and my dad in this, as this example, growing up, being only child in a married household, I got a chance to soak up a lot of things and seen some of the things that he was defined by and that he may have been challenged by. But then also, as I grew older, to kind of understand more things about, okay, hey, this is the way how he acts, this is the way how he moves, this is the way how, with raising a young black boy, I have to prepare him and I have to lead by example in certain aspects and ways. So, yes, he may have worked a job for 32 years, but that came with getting up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning. That shows discipline, stability with making sure that, hey, you got a stable roof over your head, there's food on the table, there's clothes on your back, those type of things. So we sometimes, miss those little small components where it's like, yes, is that, I left you, 4 properties in your name and a few cars and land and all that stuff. Of course, those are the good things. Yeah, that's what we would want as far as legacy things to pass down, maybe a business that you have. But as far as like key principles of things that was installed in me, it helped me out a little bit later on in life. It's kind of like me and my dad, we talk about it the Johnson way. How you are attained, not only among your peers, but people in the environment, how you carry yourself. One of the big things that, my dad told me when he dropped me off to college, he was like, man, he said, the worst thing you can do when you get here, and as you manifest your way through, is be like everybody else.
Wow.
And he was just like, from the things that I taught you, the things that you grew up seeing, not to say that, oh my goodness, you're just better than everybody, but be you. Right. You be you, you stick to you, people's gonna gravitate towards you. They'll be able to see like, okay, hey, Taryn, that's, he may not do what we do, he may not smoke, he may not drink, but we respect him for who he is and how he moves. Right. So that's like the biggest thing kind of moving forward, which is kind of legacy and, hopefully if I have a son one day, be able to teach him some of those foundational things that I was brought up on.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are to piggyback off of him. Yes, principles, those types of things. Yes, I feel like me personally, yes, my father and my grandfather and stuff, they instilled those types of things in me. So, the integrity, the, doing what you say you're going to do, that type of stuff. As far as a true legacy of anything, overall, our generation, no, we didn't really get anything from the generation before. One, because the generation before, in a sense, they kind of got dealt somewhat of a bad hand. There's no excuse. Right. But that was the most incarcerated of black men of that generation ever. You know what I mean? So there's nothing to left if everyone is in jail or they're dead or whatever the situation might be. So they had nothing to give to us from the generation before because most of that was squandered by the boomer generation. So the next generation, no, they didn't really leave us anything. So yes, I would say our generation mostly had to start and build from the beginning. But we have back what he was saying, the information now.
Yes.
You know, my dad didn't know the stuff that he didn't know, so
Right.
I can't be upset at him for not teaching me things
Right.
that's going
Absolutely.
to put me in a certain place or leaving certain things for me on the tangible side, a business, real
Right.
estate, whatever it has. But I have the information now. He has the information now. He has the information now. So our children, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Right.
We need the generational curse should end with us, right?
Right. Right.
And pretty
Right.
much, and what
Right.
that does is to piggyback off him really quick. You know, you talk about weight on the shoulders. You know, what I mean, it's like, you know, with us knowing now that we have those resources and things and can, you know,
Right.
learn from people, you know, that's already been through some of the things and we can sit back and learn from. You know, it does create a little bit more added pressure because it's just like, I don't want to, you know, get off topic a little bit, but you know, the type of men that we are and what we strive to be, you know, we want to lead by example. So in that sense, you know, you got to make sure that you're financially, mentally,
Right.
physically stable. So that way, as you are, and as a man and your responsibility is to protect and provide, you got to be able to be the best fit leader that you can
Right.
to be able to make all that come together.
So we had the Playmakers. We're so glad that they joined us on today. Next week, we're going to be talking to Playmakers for part 2. We're going to be discussing how black men can work together, iron sharpening iron. We continue to hear about how black men are this and black men are that, but we've got an example of 5 black men working together to have success individually, but success also for the community. So glad you joined Pastor Jerry on Soul Success. See you next week.